Hi folks, welcome to the Introduction to Maritime Careers and Opportunities. It's going to be an excellent course about jobs in the maritime industry. I'm George Berkeley. I'm a professional mariner. I'm a maritime school director, and I love maritime technology and traditional maritime subjects. I hope I can share my enthusiasm with you for the subject matter, and I look forward to you joining us at the school during this course for a field trip where we're going to use our ship simulators. Look at this great big ship sitting alongside the dock at St. Rose, which is a chemical refinery on the Mississippi River. It's on the east bank of the river. It's north of New Orleans. It was taken by Captain Ted Davison. Neat picture. Makes me think about our motto, all about maritime jobs and the stories behind them. I want to take you on a journey during this course to take a look at the whole spectrum of jobs in the business so that you can educate yourself and find out what you're really interested in. So when you go to pursue it, you haven't had a chance to overlook anything because you've seen the whole spectrum. So we want to afford you an educational opportunity to become familiar with the type, scope, and context of maritime jobs and those opportunities therein. We have some objectives. We want to be able to know what those general areas are of the maritime careers. We want to associate the job types inside the careers and look at what's required of the individual inside of each career area. We'll talk through all those things, and then maybe identify these various maritime operational activities so you can see where the career pathways lead you to. I love sea dogs. So it's a typical questions, what come up in this course. The second time we've run it. The first time, some of you may know, we ran this in Dubai. It was on a exchange trip. It was an awesome trip, and we had a really good course. So this is the second time we've run it. I think we've refined it a little bit, and I think you'll find it very intriguing and helpful. So hopefully at the end of this, you'll know what kind of jobs are out there and who's got them, what kind of background do those people have, and what do they really do. Not everyone's a sea dog. So I've broken it down for you. We got professional employment. Then there's these operational careers, security and safety. There's a regulatory and legal side to maritime technology and the maritime business. And then there's research and development. Of course, this is my broad spectrums. You could probably slice and dice it different ways, but I thought we'd look at it in these 5 broad areas for this course. And here I've given you a little bit of a diagram, if you will, where we can see the maritime jobs from just the practical side. We know we've got afloat jobs, we've got our ashore jobs. And then at afloat, in this business, this maritime business, we have the deep sea component, we have inland maritime component, and we have a coastal component. I thought I'd break those things apart for you so you can understand how deck and engine, how the different types of officers and unlicensed individuals that are on ships working out at sea, and the afloat component. If you look at the bottom of the page, it's actually a much larger piece of the pie, is the ashore component. This is the logistic activity that supports maritime. And we have the direct operations. These are the things that reach right out to each ship at sea and provide that daily contact to make sure that vessel can do its job. Then we have the support operations that enables everything to really happen. There's people designing ships. They're building vessels. I say ships, but there's also ports and development of the waterway and the facilities. There's a whole safety and security element of this, and human resources, and a legal and regulatory framework to make business work. It's a huge business, and it's essential for the maritime economy in Louisiana. Here's our layout. I'm going to have this in every one of our sessions. Some of them I'll be talking to you like this. Hopefully I'll get some great video for you. I'm on the road right now. I'm shooting video every day. So as this course progresses over the next couple months here, you're really going to get to see a lot from us. It is broken into 16 weeks. We know that the last day of instruction is December 2nd. You'll see that at the bottom down there. You're going to get a take-home exam. And the take-home exam, put it right up front, it's just going to be our quizzes. So we got a whole bunch of quizzes. Through every one of these assignments has a quiz. You get a chance to take the quiz and also talk to each other about it, develop your own opinions, and we're going to kind of keep track of that on our Canvas chat board. So look at the date ranges. Those are the weeks. We took 1 week off. You look down at the bottom for Thanksgiving. Otherwise, we have something every week. There'll be one of these things that I do for you. Then you'll have a little solo work to do. You go out and maybe watch a movie or see a YouTube video, develop your own opinion about what you saw, and try to bring that back to us. Today we're going to do the first two sections. We're going to do our course intro and nomenclature in the maritime business. There is a quiz, which is fun because it gives you a chance to kind of give back. So that's going to be W1 and W2. So I'm labeled all these PowerPoints that I'm talking to by W, which is for the week. So you'll see W1 intro is up there at the top, and then number 2, so on and so forth. So this is what we got laid out for you. Check out all the cool stuff we're going to talk about. Vessel types, that's next week. Got lots of great pictures for you that I've taken, and some that I've grabbed off the internet, but most of them I've taken myself. I think you really like it. The afloat jobs, the ashore jobs. We're going to look at unions, so you'll know what all the different maritime unions are and how they work to support mariners around the world. We have security and safety careers. It's an essential part of the shoreside component for any maritime facility in the state. Military Sea Lift Command. Great support activity for our U.S. Navy and for our Marine Corps and the Army for any overseas military operation. They live and fight by what the ships can bring them. So that's the Military Sea Lift Command. Our regulatory and legal careers, we're going to look at what the U.S. governments and also our private contractors that provide us, like the American Bureau of Shipping, Det Norse Veritas. You're going to hear about the worldwide side of regulatory and legal careers. And we can look at things like our Lloyd's of London. The really essential part of what makes a ship tick is to make sure it has a good regulatory and legal climate to operate and do good business in. Port and terminal operation careers. Louisiana is loaded with port and terminals. I know just on the route between New Orleans and Baton Rouge, probably 230 terminals. Each one of them staffed with lots and lots of people. And then there's a whole back end of logistics that feed those ports back and forth. Lastly, maritime research and development. It's one of my things. It's what I do for a living, and I thought I'd like to share that with you and show you there's a pathway with our Army Corps of Engineers, with our private research and development, and with the training research and development, the kind of work I do for all kinds of work in the marine industry. Dredging, new facilities, really exciting work. We're going to take a break over Thanksgiving, and you're going to see that take-home exam. We're going to have a comprehensive review so that everyone does a great job on their work, and hopefully you'll all get excellent marks, and you'll have a great experience and a really good overall understanding of all the pieces and all the jobs that are out there that make the maritime world excellent. Hey, at the end, notice field trip. We're going to have a maritime simulation field trip at MPI. You're going to get to drive a super tanker on the Mississippi River. Of course, it'll be all virtual. We have an immersive screen that wraps around our bridge environment. There's electronics. We've got radios. You're going to use radar, electronic charting. The crew at MPI that work with me are going to be there to help. It's going to be a lot of fun, and then we'll find a date that's convenient for everybody. I think in the evening would be best, and I think we'll have an excellent time at that simulation field trip. Hey, let's just step back a little bit. Why is the maritime industry important to Louisiana, and why would you want to become part of it? Well, look at it. Look at the facts. 11,000 vessels coming up and down the Mississippi River. 500 million tons of cargo. 60% of our grain ships right out through the port of New Orleans. 60%. That's over half. And 20% of our coal and petrochemicals come down the lower Mississippi River, typically by barge, and then they get transshipped into a big ship. So the barges get scooped out. There's these very special cranes and docks that are designed for the barge to slip on the inside of the ship's on the outside, and there's a big piece of equipment that comes over the top of it called an eductor, and it grabs the cargo out of the barge, and it sucks it up and either puts it in a silo on the beach, or it just sucks it up and stuffs it right down inside the ship. The port of New Orleans has millions and millions of dollars worth of this equipment in action. It's an essential thing for the United States to have the Port of New Orleans and the river as a conduit for all of this cargo. Here's some facts. I pulled these, by the way, if I go back a slide, portofneworleans.com, got their port facts. Look at some cool things here. $8 billion in earning and economic impact. Gigantic. Here's a state with under 4 million people with $8 billion in earning. $800 million in state taxes comes out of those 160,000 jobs that are right there on the river. Nationally, $37 billion worth of economic impact, and we generate almost $3 billion in federal tax revenue just from the Mississippi, lower Mississippi. That's the power of 500 million tons of cargo moving on the river. If you want to become part of it, there's a whole spectrum of jobs that are connected to that 500 million tons of cargo. It's a business profile. Port of New Orleans is known for break bulk, heavy lift, our refrigerated cargo. In particular, you all might have even heard of this. There's a chicken dock. It's right near Chalmette on the Industrial Canal. It's one of the largest refrigerated chicken houses in the world, and we ship chicken from the entire southeast, all of those chicken farms. That chicken goes in those ships and goes to Europe, and it's one of the largest operations in the country for that. We do have a cruise terminal, and no doubt the number one bulk port in the world is the Port of New Orleans. The coal, the grain, and a whole bunch of other products you may never have heard of, like pet coke and other types of fraction items that are, we have bulk, we have commodities that are like the raw constituent materials that are used to make metals. Very interesting. We are the number one logistics port, the number one importer of natural rubber. We are the number one London Metals Exchange port for copper, zinc, aluminum, number one exporter of poultry, and we're 2 for coffee, 3 for steel, 5th for plywood, and we're even a decent cruise port, even though we're really far from the sea. It's still worth it because people like to stay over in New Orleans and have a good time, so it's an excellent place to have a cruise port. Look at our population versus cargo. Now, link you out to this if you're interested and you want to reach out to it. It's from data from the Census Bureau, and it's tied right into Google. But notice here, Louisiana, less than 5 million persons in the state. Texas, up over 25 million, which kind of brings us full circle. A lot of the cargo that's coming through the Port of New Orleans heads to Texas because Louisiana doesn't have the population base to make it a destination port. It's a cargo port. We're a transshipment port. We're a hub. We don't use the resources of the port individually. What we're really allowing is we enable that cargo to get places. That's what happens in the Port of New Orleans. Places like Texas are different. Like in the city of Houston, which almost has more people than the entire state of Louisiana in one place, they're in this geographic triangle between Houston and Dallas and Austin, and every ship that comes into Port of Houston is feeding that huge triangle of people with this 15 or 20 million people. That's a destination port. That's different. So the destination ports in the country are places like New York and Philadelphia and Baltimore. Their destination ports, of course, Los Angeles is one of the huge destination ports, Seattle, San Francisco. Those cargoes, they are moving out of the state, but a lot of it stays right there locally with a huge population base to use that product.